Hi everyone. I'm sure you are aware of generative answers feature of Copilot Studio and how knowledge sources can be used in generative answers. In this video, I'm going to talk about something under the hood, like what's going on when you are adding your knowledge source for a generative answer. Uh, Hint, it's called RAG. If you're familiar with Gen AI world, if you're doing any reading or any kind of video watching or whatever about Gen AI, there's a very popular technique called RAG, which is a short for retrieval augmented generation, where you retrieve some information and that way your response generation becomes augmented. I don't know if Copilot Studio explicitly talks about that, but it's always important to know what's going on under the hood. That helps you understand, design better, debug faster. Sometimes, if you feel Copilot Studio is not meeting your requirement, this is also helpful for you to design your custom solution in some cases. And I have done that also in some cases myself. Okay, so not the prettiest design, not the prettiest drawing, but let me tell you high level. So at the top, you see some at the development time, which is when you're building your agent, building your Copilot Studio agent. So what happens? You as a developer, you add some knowledge source. I should have added an arrow here. So what happens after that? Whatever knowledge you add, which could be a document, which could be a website, it is indexed in a vector store. And I'm skimming the knowledge and the details of what is a vector store, what is indexing. Just imagine that it's a database which knows how to put all this information in a way, in a form that is called vector, that makes it easy to retrieve in a semantic fashion. So what does semantic fashion mean? Semantic fashion means, let's say you say animal and cat. If you try to do search just based on keyword, they don't really match, but in a semantic way they have some similarity. So depending on the context, they are kind of similar in some vector. If there's interest, please let me know through comment and I'll do a future video explaining more about vector store. But at this point, it suffices to say that vector store is a kind of database that lets you easily index information so that you can retrieve it in a semantic way. Okay, so and that goes in a vector store with index knowledge. So what happens when the user asks a question? When the user asks the question, the agent that you have written, it actually queries the index knowledge. So this vector store where you have indexed information, it queries that to find the information relevant to the user query. So that is called semantic search. So for example, if you have indexed all the information about company policy, and if one of your employee who is the user, they come and ask about what is the leave policy, it tries to look at user question, goes through your policy documents and finds the chunks of information in that document which is relevant to the policy. But it doesn't just return the chunk of the information back to the user. So this is where your agent comes into the picture. It takes the relevant information from the vector store, sends that as additional context to the LLM. So what is LLM? I'm assuming you all know, if you know anything about Gen AI, LLM is large language model. So in case of Microsoft, it is OpenAI model. But in outside world, it could be anything. It could be OpenAI model, it could be Claude model, it could be Llama model, it could be DeepSeek model. There's so many models right now. So, but anyway, for any LLM, you include the user query, the relevant information from your vector store, and that helps LLM produce much better response. And there's less chance of hallucination because now you're making use of your own domain specific knowledge. So that's what is happening behind the scene. It's good to keep that in mind. This concept will always be helpful as you think about your Copilot Studio design or in general Gen AI applications also in future. There are a few things that I'm glossing over in this video, but if there's any interest, let me know. For example, what is a vector store? Which one is used? Honestly, I don't know everything, but I can make some guesses. There's so many options out there for vector data store or vector databases. I'm assuming Microsoft is using its own Cosmos or something, but they don't share all the details. And honestly, they're not important. It's important for you to know that there's some vector store. so that if you have to build your own custom solution, these are the things you have to do yourself. How vector stores data? There's a concept called vector or embedding in machine learning world. It's a mathematical concept. It's a representation of a concept in 0, 1. I'll not go into the detail because that 0, 1 in a vector way, in a matrix way, helps computer perform some math so that the next step in the semantic search, when the user query comes, that is also generated into a vector. And then these vectors are compared to see, hey, which sets of vectors are most relevant, most similar for this vector which is coming for the user. Again, I'll leave it at that at this point. Hope you found this under the hood concept helpful. And this is going to be helpful for Copilot Studio as well as any GenAI application. Any thoughts, suggestions, feedback, please let me know. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.